What's up, bikers? Today we're going to look at the front squat and variations of and explain why that's going to help you as a rider.
Nearly gave you a heart attack. Thought I told you to watch your back. Never know what to expect down here. That's the only sign.
Lots of people think that any kind of squat or loading of the legs is for strengthening the legs, and that's the reason for doing it. But squats at weight are also very good for core stability and strength. But firstly, let's just take a look nice and quickly at the front squat and some key points that you need to remember whilst you're performing it. So we'll come to the front rack position if you find difficulty with that in a second. But if you can take it on the front rack position, which is elbows high, bar in contact with the shoulder, that's going to keep it central. The feet are about shoulder width apart and slightly turned out. This will allow space between the hips so that as Pat squats, you can keep his torso nice and vertical and the knees come out, creating torque in the hip, a nice safe knee position because it's tracking over the toe, and of course the lower back curve is maintained. Now let's take a look at these different hand positions if you can't get this wrist in a good position. So the bar is attached to his shoulder. The wrists are bent so that the bar can 100% be onto his torso. So with all of this locked down, as Pat squats, all of the bracing through the middle is connecting the bar to the drivers, which are his legs. As he stands up, as you can see, there's no wavering around with the arm. So if Pat's mobility is poor in his shoulder, forearms, wrists, and he has to take a full grip on it, then the weight of the bar is determined by how much he can have on his grip rather than how much he can stabilize it through his midline or his leg strength. So if you hold on the front there, as Pat squats like this, because the bar is not close to his center of gravity, it's also going to pull him forwards. So the first thing we're going to look at, stand up, is a good front rack position. So if you take a look at where the bar is, take your hands off, Pat, leave the bar there, you should be able to balance the bar on your shoulder. This is a really good position for the bar. It will be on your throat slightly. Don't concern yourself about that unless you pass out. Then, fingers go under. It might be harder to get back under once you're there. The elbows are nice and high. The purpose of the elbows being high is not just to relieve pressure on the wrists, but also to get a good upper mid-back position. So as Pat squats, he's drawing his chest nice and high from his thoracic spine. So stand up, put it back in. Now we're under no illusion that many bikers have injuries to wrists, elbows, shoulders, general tightness, collarbones. So having this bar in contact with your collarbone, if you've misplaced it, displaced it, is going to be really painful. So variations of this, if you can't get into that optimum front rack position, is crossing the arms. You can also hook thumbs under. So can you see this, Dan? Yep. So this is going to allow the bar to be a little bit further forwards. It's going to take the pressure off the forearms and wrists, but it's going to mean that the bar is in an optimum position. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult to balance. So as he squats, the squat mechanics are exactly the same. It's just the side-to-side balance. And if the weight gets heavy enough that Pat can't stand up with it, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to unload the bar, so dropping the bar out the front. If you can't do both of the first suggestions, this is an idea that might help you, particularly if you've got really sore wrists. So you can use bands, but hold them close to the bar, or you can use wrist straps or belts, anything that's going to mean that you're holding the bar in a different position. This way, the elbows can still be high, but the pressure is a lot less on the wrists. You might find that the balancing of the bar is difficult, but it should mean that you can load the bar optimally and get into that nice front rack position where the bar is wanting to pull you forwards and you're engaging the upper mid-back and also the glutes to try and stabilize that position. Stand up, Pat. Rack back in. Let's take a look at the upper back engagement on the front squat. So Pat's going to go down to the bottom of the squat. This part of the back, which is really undertrained in riders, but very important for bike handling, is really engaged to stabilize and stop the rounding forwards. So if Pat was weak here, he could well round the spine as he stands up. Now this isn't a super dangerous position because it's the thoracic spine, and that's fine in flexion, just as long as you keep your lower back. But it's not optimal because what we're trying to do here is build strength to maintain the spinal position. So as Pat stands up, he's nice and strong, there's multiple reps with heavy weight, and there's a fair chance that this part of your back is the failing point on the squat. Not necessarily legs or lower back, but upper mid back. So when there's change here, it means that that part of the mechanism, the mechanics have changed, then that may well be your front squat set over. So what you'll find with the front squat is that maintaining a vertical torso or as much as you can is really important to stabilize that weight and keep it on the center of gravity, because the further forward it is, the more hingy your squat is, then the more it's going to try and pull you forwards. So a lot of that is determined by your ankle mobility. So the knee being super far forward of the toe, as you can see here, this is going to be really important for the upward mechanics of the squat. So we're looking here at the knee being super far over the toe, which then in turn keeps a vertical spine. If that knee was further back and Pat's hips were poor, look at how far forwards the bar then becomes, and there's lots of tension then on the wrist and the forearms. Stand up, take a rest, come back down. Don't take a full rest, Pat. Come back down. So that's really why we keep those elbows high to keep that upper mid back, up, up, up. Nice flexible hips for an appropriate depth to maintain that lower back curve. Stand up, take a full rest. So if Pat's ankle mobility was poor and he came into this front squat and his knee couldn't go very far forwards, look at the mechanics difference. So his hip's not going to drop quite as low as it could, even though he's flexible in his hips, all because of his ankle. But also that weight is going to try and pull him super far forwards. And although we said that that's what we kind of want from a front squat, go back down again, it's not going to be optimal for all of that weight to be on the wrists and the forearms. So we want a good, nice vertical torso, deep hips, flexible ankles. If you're squatting on your own for weight, then it might be a little bit dangerous to do back squats. So another benefit of the front squat is that you can ditch the bar, if you have bumper plates of course, you can ditch the bar out the front nice and safely, and it's not gonna land on you or cause you any injury. So Pat's gonna demo this, because 40 kilos is way too much. Ah, he stands, he can't get up, and he just drops the bar forwards. So in that position, it's nice and easy to drop it forwards, and it's not gonna cause too much drama and certainly no injury. If that were on Pat's back, he could well be pinned at the bottom of the squat and rely on other people to lift it off, or a power rack. If you have neither of those, then front squats are a good substitute for back squats. And that's it for front.
I'll make it really long. So
yeah, I'll make it long, I'll make it long. Go on, go on, go on. That's it for front squats. Hopefully you got some technical pointers to be able to perform these well and incorporate them into your program and ultimately become a better rider. If you want more tips, then visit our website, fitforracing.com. On the Zone, we have loads of technical pointers, free workouts, and lots of information around training to become a better rider. So visit that. Send us a message. If you want any questions about programs or training answered, then me or Pat will answer them. So until next time, happy riding, happy gymming. It's your time. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do it again, Pat. No. It's your time, make it count. Peace. It's 40 kilos, Pat. You can't be booming 40 kilos. 10 at 40. Ah!